Armin, you're a tough act to follow. There you go. Before I get going, I just want to acknowledge somebody who had a tough job to do today, and that's Ron Arnst. Thank you, Ron, for doing the stuff that you did today. Our group really appreciates what you did. Thank you, buddy. Thank you, Clayton, for that over there. And for those of you who didn't catch the name, my name is Hank Moore, and I'm currently still an umpire. Bobby, long leash, ninth inning, right? All right, you guys are still in the game. Okay. Thank Bob Senff for that one, okay? Strike, ball, safe, out, fair, foul, rules, equipment, weather, coaches, lineup cards, ejection reports. Steve McBride, sorry about that ejection report. I got my level 4 based on that back in the day, so I owe you one, but I'm sorry about that. Concussions, bruises, broken bones, heat stroke, mentoring, teamwork, brotherhood, and even singing the odd national anthem. Imagine an umpire singing the national anthem before the game starts. Full equipment, go figure. These are the words that our next inductee are all too familiar with. Bob Senff is our next inductee, and I'm honored to present him. Bob has umpired for some 30 years. I can't even fathom 25. And that's a long haul. I first met Bob in 2010 in the Western Canada Juniors. Bob was my crew chief. I remember that we only worked one game in that tournament because we got rained out right through the whole thing. It was done, Bobby. And I recall two things that Bobby said to me that I still do today. And he gave me a back fist, just as we pumped fists and went to our positions. Murray Lawrence was there and Bobby was here. And they both turned around, knowing I was a little apprehensive. And he backhanded me right in the chest protector. Whack! And he said, "Have fun, Hank. Just get those balls and strikes done right, and me and Murray will take care of the field." And they all went out there, and it was probably the easiest game I did in my life. All because of that guy right there. Now it's your cue. Go ahead. Get over here. Bob's basically a class act, if you haven't guessed for that already. He even came into our dress room when we got our level 4s that day on game. And he congratulated our crew on achieving our level 4 on field. And Bobby, I just want to thank you very much for sticking your head in there because I didn't know you were coming, so thank you very much for doing that. There's a lot more I could say about Bob, but it's a ninth inning, so let's get it, okay? I know he's anxious to get up here, so without any further ado, please welcome the Manitoba Baseball Hall of Fame, Bob.
We had Red Green out here and he talked about getting old for, and so I'm just going to get my glasses out here just so that I can see. I believe the scripture says that the first shall be last and the last shall be first. I have a feeling I'm the last, right? Oh, we got one more team. Oh, we got a team to go. I'm not the last. Okay, I got a chance. Ladies and gentlemen, young people, boys and girls, my family, your family, lovers of baseball. First of all, I want to congratulate all the other inductees, the teams, the individuals, and so forth. I also want to thank the Manitoba Baseball Association and their Hall of Fame committee that have selected us and honored us with tonight's presentation. I want to tell a love story tonight. I want to tell a story about loving the game of baseball. I want us to recognize that all the people here and many people across Manitoba and across North America and around the world love the game of baseball and the game of softball. Now, in our family, guys and gals, boys and girls are equal. They play, we encourage them, we support them. But this is a love story about baseball, and I want to just really focus on for my own kids and my grandchildren, because they won't know a lot of these things. This is the story of an adopted kid who grew up on the outskirts of St. Vital, watched them build a perimeter highway. The place is now Maple Grove Park, sports fields and all kinds of stuff. I was an adopted kid raised by a wonderful pair of adoptive parents who have long since passed away. Loving parents, dirt poor. Dad was from Holland. And he wasn't a sports fan, they weren't sports fans. So I grew up there, and I never played minor baseball. I didn't even know it existed. I didn't play minor hockey, I didn't play minor sports at all. My parents weren't cruel, they were loving parents. And this went on, and then about 1957 or 58 or thereabout, we got our first television set. For the young people, they wonder, television set? You got your first television set? Yeah, it was one of those ones, you know, with the sort of oval screens, black and white, with the iconic test pattern. Yeah, we got and so I finally got to see baseball. And a love affair with the game of baseball started. On a Saturday afternoon, if the Yankees were playing, my mom and dad allowed me to bicycle up from the Market Garden field, watch the game, and then bicycle back down and finish the day. And I fell in love with the New York Yankees. Mantle and Maris and Yogi Berra and Whitey Ford and the rest of them. And I began to learn the strategies of baseball and the rules of baseball from the two commentators in those days, Pee Wee Reese and Dizzy Dean. Great guys. And so it went. In 1964, I was about to go into grade 12 at the new St. Paul's High School out on 2200 Grant, and it was going to be a very long bus trip. So I got a car, wheels, a 1959 black Volkswagen Bug. And that car gave me freedom and opportunity. And it took me through the University of Manitoba, and it took my wife and infant son and myself out to Burden so that I began a teaching career there in 1970. And this year is the first year that I haven't been in a classroom. So I think my career is now over. And I've been subbing the last number of years, so 48 years. So maybe that's enough. But of course, once I had that freedom and opportunity, I learned to play fastball, and I played fastball in Winnipeg and then out in Burden and everything else, mostly fastball to start with, but about 74 and 75, I put in a couple of years with the Burden Oilers of the Manitoba Senior Baseball League, and that was really quite interesting. And then I went back into playing fastball again, and in 1980, most of the people that I played with had gotten tired and old or whatever, they just weren't playing anymore, and so they had hung up the gloves, and I hung up my glove and everything else, and here's how it all started. Manager of the Scarth basketball team, a man by the name of Jim Wright, approached me and said, "Bob, we hear you're not playing. Would you consider umpiring?" And I said, "Sure." Silly fool that I was. Oh, maybe a week or 10 days later, the late Perry Kavanagh of the Burden Oilers came up and he said, "Bob, we hear that you're umpiring for Scarth. Would you umpire for the Oilers as well? They need a three-man system by constitution in the MSBL. You have to have a three-man system." And I said, "Sure, I can do that for a while." Now, ladies and gentlemen, I was a high school English teacher, and my favorite novel was To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. And in To Kill a Mockingbird, it says in Macomb County, Alabama, a while is 3 days to 30 years. I umpired for a while. That was 30 years ago. And I really loved it. And shortly thereafter, I went in with no instruction whatsoever, just, you know, going in and umpiring. Wow. And it wasn't very long, but I had wonderful guys, Merle Kalinick, Larry Nichols, Ron Shuchuk, and many others. But those fellows ran clinics, and I learned a great deal in those clinics. And every clinic that I went to, if I learned one new thing, it was worth it. But you know, I also learned things from baseball players. And we've already seen one fella mentioned here numerous times today, and I'm going to do it again. Michael Bossier was a marvelous fellow to work behind. He caught for Hamiota, he had caught for Canada, he was just a great guy, Mr. Hustle, and he was so good at giving me tips and pointers about how to make my game better. And Mike, I totally appreciate it. By 1992, the Manitoba Baseball Association had enough faith in me to send me to Calgary to the Caravan, the Umpires Caravan, where I became a certified clinician, and for the next 17 years I did clinics. And it was really marvelous because I got to meet and teach and supervise and evaluate and mentor many, many, many men and some women as umpires over those years. And I also got to be involved in umpiring at a lot of regionals, a lot of provincials and Western Canadas and some nationals, and it was marvelous. And that's where the numbers of games, sometimes it looks really inflated, but that's how it happens. I had many good partners, and I met many good players. Secondly, the most important thing in my life is family. It's a love situation with our family. I love my family in a lot of different ways. And I want to acknowledge my best supporter, my wife Maureen. In 6 days, next Friday, we celebrate our 50th wedding anniversary. We had 5 children, 2 boys and 3 girls, and they were wonderful. They all played significant ball. They all got married, they all have children, and now we have 12 wonderful grandchildren and 1 wonderful great-granddaughter. Ooh. And all of the children and several of the spouses are here, and 10 of the 12 grandchildren are here. If you guys want to just wave out there, they're out the back there, I think. There's only one way that I can see them wave. Now, families provide marvelous memories, and the Sager family will have pointed that out, and there are other families that have been honored here in past years that would have said the same kind of thing, but it really is significant. And first of all, I want to start by just mentioning our youngest daughter, who has the 3 youngest grandchildren, and they're here, and they actually haven't played significant ball yet, but they may do that. And that's our daughter, Rachel. Wait, Rachel. Now, let's go back to the top. A lot of people ask me this question. My oldest son, Joey, was playing with Legion 141 in the dwindling Red Wing League one year, a number of years ago, and Danny, our younger son, was playing with the Neepawa Farmers of the also dwindling Manitoba Senior Baseball League. And the 2 leagues, interlocked for a couple of years, and that meant the 2 boys played against each other. There was only one place I wanted to be. Right behind the dish. And so it was. Now our middle daughter Rebecca, hey Beck, she went the farthest in fastball. Like, wow, she really went, and she's really tall, you know. I believe it was about 5'1", right Beck? Yeah,
all of 5'1".
All of 5'1", all right. And it was really great. And she actually played for Team Toba, and they won a bronze medal in the Canada Games in Brandon in 1997. Now, I wasn't certified to umpire, at a national fastball tournament. So what they did, what the Brandon people did, they honored me by allowing me to be an announcer in 2 or 3 or 4 of the games. And it was really fun. Ladies and gentlemen, now come the bats. The center fielder, number 10, Rebecca Senff. That's the way I did it. But I was really tempted to use her nickname, which I won't share. Now, our oldest daughter is also here from Alberta, and wave, Liv, woo! And her son, who's not here unfortunately, is working and everything else, but when they moved from Brandon to Morden, and she taught here in Morden for a number of years, and when Alex was a bantam age player, from 14 years old, he played with one of your curator of the museum, Joe Witcher, on the regional team. And they made it to the Manitoba Games in in Dauphin, Manitoba. And my wife said, why don't you try to umpire one of their games? So I asked Larry Nicholson. Larry was the umpire chief. He says, yeah, sure. He said, I'll give Vic Fromm up there in Dauphin a call and you can make arrangements. I, as a grandfather, got to umpire my grandson in the Manitoba games. And they won the gold. Not because of me. So it's been an absolutely marvelous time for me with family. Family's always been really, really important. Now, the last thing I want to comment about is baseball is life. Life is baseball in a lot of ways. And that's why this is a love story. Because we love life and we love baseball. And we love the values and the principles and so forth. And they come out in various of the sayings that we've heard today. And I just want to mention a couple. One year, there was a tournament, I believe it was being hosted by the Elmer Giants, and I think it was either a senior or a junior game tournament. It doesn't matter. One game on Friday didn't really go on very well. And so the next morning we got together, and our umpire-in-chief for that, or supervisor for that tournament was Don Howard. And Don took us aside and said, you know, guys, he said, this morning and for the rest of the day and the rest of the tournament, I do not need you to do good games. I need you to do great games and restore the faith in umpiring. Then he said, now guys, I want you to remember always one thing. No matter what your attitudes are like, no matter what your ego is like, no matter whether the game is going marvelously and you're just feeling on top of the earth, remember one thing. You are only as good as your next call. Boy, does that work in baseball, and does it ever work in life? You're only as good as your next call. Secondly, I never threw a lot of players out of games. I mean, I was not known as an umpire who threw out people. I said I'm slow to throw. I was also slow to throw students out of my classroom in school. I just didn't do that kind of stuff very much. And one little mention here was with my very first ejection in the Prairie League of Professional Baseball. One and only. Lo and behold, my partner and the manager afterwards got into this really, really animated dirt-kicking, ball-throwing, you name it, whatever. And, you know, through the manager out and everything else, we're changing the two of us. And I said, gee, yes, my first ejection, and you guys had to show me up at the dish? I said, you know, I'm going to ask you a question. We've been doing this together for a while. Am I too lenient? Am I just a wuss that I don't throw very many people out? He turned right around and he said, no. Your reputation is as a player's umpire. You don't mess with them, so they don't mess with you. And boy, did it ever do good service. My last thing I'll mention here, of course, every successful person does self-analysis and self-evaluation, and I did mine. And I came to the conclusion a while ago, and I told a number of people that I have the two qualities required to be a good official, a good umpire. I am blind, and I am deaf. Again, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you, Hall of Fame committee, and thank you,